And then I remember.
Really? A lot of people around me have them.
Yeah.
Trina is literally in the video.
So I have the wind blown hair, like sitting in front of here, I'll take it. Are we plugged in or?
We're literally live and painted. Oh, back up. Stay here.
Right. Oh. But I think to bring back. Oh, you will see. Really, you don't. I have this new stuff. Nice.
There's two library destination. So.
Oh, I see.
No.
I grew up I was in Jason's office, right?
We're all like,
We are.
it's been rough. It's
It's
rough,
okay,
right?
negotiations.
It was the only thing to bring out that we had.
Yeah.
So. That would have been worse. Yes. I didn't want to impress you. Everybody make sure you press your buttons tonight because they can't hear us if you don't press the buttons. I can't either. Good, I'm tired. It was really rough.
We're gonna get there. Looks like it's better than yours.
Does it say D? Oh, no. Well, just tired. I'm just like. I was gonna give. Yes.
I think everybody's here.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Reddington Township Board of Education. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act and is open to the media and public. Notices were duly posted and the meeting was advertised in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News. Formal action may be taken. Can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman.
Here.
Ms. Fiore.
Here.
Ms. Mentor.
Here.
Mr. Beach.
Here.
Ms. Bogorski.
Here.
Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Ms. Wolf.
Here.
Dr. Trociello.
Here.
Ms. Amble.
Here. If we can all rise for the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was excellent.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Tonight, we have a very special event for our Board of Education. We have several student recognitions this evening, and I'd like to introduce you to some special students. We're going to begin tonight with the Hunterdon County School Boards Association recognition. So each year, Hunterdon County School Boards Association recognizes a high school senior and an 8th grade student from a Hunterdon County school. These honorees are called our unsung heroes. We know that sometimes heroes and heroines are among us and we don't even know where they are. They can make an outstanding contribution to their school or their communities, and they often go unseen. Our unsung heroes and heroines can be people who make their school a better place because of their warmth of their personality, their empathy, and their concern for others. They also tend to not let obstacles stop them. This year, we're honored to have our very own Abigail Washuta be our unsung hero from Reddington Middle School. Abby, are you here? Abby, you were recognized earlier this month or last month at the Hunterdon County School Boards Association event this month with Mr. Charleston. Was there? Wonderful. Congratulations to you. Come on, you can come forward.
Alice too?
Yeah, the whole family.
Okay, I'll take a couple, okay? You can smile. Smile, this way. Awesome, look this way. There we go. Great job, guys.
Thank you. In addition, each year students in Hunterdon County are nominated by their teachers and librarians for the Hunterdon County Librarians Association Enthusiastic Reader Award. This award is based off of the following characteristics. The student exhibits an enthusiasm for reading and sharing books, uses books for a variety of purposes, reads independently on a voluntary basis, uses school and/or public libraries regularly, and selects books at appropriate interest levels. The following 3 students have exemplified these qualities of an enthusiastic reader. One student who attends RMS received a special note from her school librarian, Mrs. Singer, that I'd like to read. Mrs. Singer couldn't be here tonight, but she gave me something to read. For Elizabeth, as always, I'm extremely proud of you and cannot wait to celebrate with you at our Enthusiastic Reader Awards ceremony later in May. You have become a fixture in the Library Media Center, and I'm very grateful for you as a junior librarian, as well as a dedicated and enthusiastic reader. See you tomorrow in school. Our enthusiastic readers are Ivy Slowecki from Three Bridges, Ivy couldn't come tonight, but I promised her that Dr. Higgins and I would stop by and see her and give her her certificate, so we'll see her soon. Ananya Barve? Ananya? Congratulations. Thank you. Do you want to take a picture? There's something over here. This is an
Let's take a picture. Thanks. Thank you.
So my kids are doing the same thing.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And Elizabeth, are you here tonight? Elizabeth Blackman. Elizabeth, come on up. Mrs. Singer, hang on. Oh, Mrs. Singer, this is for you. Actually, it's just two. And do you want a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the two of you is fine.
Okay.
You don't need us.
It's okay.
Okay, are you gonna look at me and smile? There you go, thank you.
And the fun continues. We have our students here from Hollenbrook School. These students participated in the New Jersey Destination Imagination State Tournament. Destination Imagination requires students to engage in research and presentation skills, collaboration, quick thinking, teamwork, creativity, and communication skills. These hardworking students placed first, second, and third in their elementary level improvisational challenge. Our amazing destination students are as follows. I'm going to read your name, hand you certificates, and you guys just want to line up here when I call your name, okay? Caden Betts.
He's absent.
Thank you. Adele Duclair. Ayira Rana. Ira, excuse me, I'm sorry. Vadir Rangashayam. Zachary Wang. Aubrey Brooks. Angel Cassiano. Sarah Erd. Nina Hardison. Patrick Ost. Shrina Patel. Jordan Deanne Tuono. Emma Dilger. Sophie Hoops. Arav Karnani. Arhan Rana. Alex Wang. You brought a trophy tonight too? Three trophies. Can you show us your 3 trophies, please? Thank you, Mrs. Ann. Do you guys want to hold them for a picture? If you want to, say something. Why don't you guys?
Make a couple rows.
Yeah, let's make rows. You guys come in front right here. Did I miss Autumn? Is Autumn here? She's not here. Maybe that's why, because we knew she wasn't gonna be here, but I think I was certificate back in my office for her. Thank you for letting me know. Hey, that's awesome, thank you. You guys got it just right here. Sweetheart, can you come in the front? Just smile for all your parents out there. No pressure.
Thank you. We're just very proud of them. They worked so hard. It took a lot of teamwork, a lot of collaboration. They really had to make sure that they worked through a lot of problems together and problem solve different ideas and make sure that all ideas were being heard. And I think they learned a lot from that time. We're just super proud of them. So we're very thankful to the board and Dr. Hart for supporting this program for so long. It's a pleasure to watch our groups every year come together, make new friendships, and grow together throughout the season. So, well done, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
Thank you. Mrs. Campbell, I'll let you, if you'd like to say anything on behalf of the board, real quick before I go into my presentation.
So congratulations to all of you. I think it's so much fun to see all of the hard work that you all are doing throughout the school year, and it means a lot for us to get to see that. Reminds us why we're doing it, and we're really thankful that you were able to come tonight. So thank you and congratulations.
The next part of my superintendent's report is to update the board about a retention and recruitment task force that we had this year. You're more than welcome to stay, and then we're going to move into ordinary business. But if you'd like to take off, we really appreciate you coming out tonight. The weather is beautiful, so we wouldn't play you if you want us to go play for a little. Have a great evening. If you'd like to stay, feel free to stay.
Congratulations.
I told you. Thank you. Good night. Bye, Abby. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Good night.
Thank you.
That was fun.
That was
Great. So next on my superintendent's report is to update the board in regard to the retention and recruitment task force that we had going this year. As we talked about earlier in the school year, this was one of my superintendent goals. This was also a focal area of the district. So this presentation is provided to you to update you in regard to the work that we've done over the course of the year and some of the action steps that we've either taken or will be taking in the near future. So just to give you a brief overview, here are our meeting dates and meeting topics. We advertised for staff members to be volunteers as part of the task force back in October. In November, we had our first meeting where we set our vision, we developed some group norms, we developed goals that the task force wanted to accomplish, and we selected survey instruments in order to survey the staff. We thought that doing a survey was really important to gain some baseline data from our school staff in terms of retention, recruitment, job satisfaction here in the district. In December, we had our second meeting where we reviewed our goals again, we reviewed the survey results, and we reviewed the results of something called a stay interview. And I'll describe all of this in a little bit more detail. And we began identifying trends that we saw through the surveys and the interviews that we did. In January, we continued with reviewing survey results. We tried to package things, trends in groups, and we identified areas of focus. And then we crafted goals and objectives around those areas of focus, and I'll go into some detail tonight. Over the course of the month of February, the committee put together the report. The report was shared with the leadership team, and then the report was also shared with the personnel committee in draft form. Which brings us to tonight, where I'll be giving you an update in regard to what trends we saw and where we'd like to go in the future in terms of retention and recruitment. So first, I'm going to review with you some of the things that we actually did, some of the work we did in our task force. And one of the first things that Mr. Charleston and I talked about needing to operationally define with the group was our universal truths and our goals. And we talked about universal truths becoming a definition of how we as a committee needed to have a common language and common goals we were working for. Right? You get a group of people in a room to talk about solving problems that seem very difficult to solve. Sometimes we go off in different directions, but if we can stay focused on universal truths and some specific goals, we thought that would help focus our work. So first we defined retention and recruitment. So these things are our definitions. These are not HR management definitions. These aren't textbook definitions. This is when you put a group of educators in a room that work for a school district, what do they think retention is? What do they think recruitment is? And our staff felt that retention was about community, a sense of belonging, feeling respected and engaging in meaningful work. And I really liked the engaging and meaningful work part. I think that's really why we're here, and that came up as a theme throughout our work. Recruitment, we thought, was our common strengths, who we are, how we can convey a positive image, and how we can entice others to be part of our community. And these were the words that we used to kind of craft our definitions of what does it mean to retain and recruit great staff. So then we looked at, well, what does this look like in practice, right? If school administrators and school leaders are to retain and recruit staff, what might it look like? So we thought, well, happy, positive employees is one great way to measure retention. People who are happy, they stay here, we celebrate them, they have a good work-life balance, they feel supported, and we offer competitive compensation. Recruitment means that we share our strengths publicly, we provide some good PR about the district, and that when we actually sit down to engage in the recruitment process with individual prospective employees, that we actually give them competitive compensation offerings that they feel as if they've earned, and we know that we're earning them in return. So we also defined a task force. What we wanted to do is we wanted to be sure that we were clear about what our role as a task force was. Essentially, we defined for the group that came to these meetings that a task force was designed to make recommendations to other groups. We weren't there to actually do the work. We were there to synthesize the work and then eventually parse out that work to different administrators or school leaders to be able to employ the work. So our goal was really to make recommendations to the superintendent, to building principals, to curriculum supervisors, to the business administrator, to our community, to the Board of Education, to the RTEA, the RTAA, to make recommendations of what we thought a good strategy would be for retention and recruitment. We had a little fun defining this as a wicked problem. Wicked problems, and there's some from research from Rittel and Weber, and they defined wicked problems as things that have innumerable causes. They're tough to describe and they don't have one right answer. And if we've learned anything over the past several years, that retaining and recruiting the high quality talent that we desire in a school district is a wicked problem. It's been a challenge, especially over the past couple of years. It was also important to give the committee perspective that a group of educators in one district over the course of 3 meetings in 4 months were not going to solve this problem, right? That we were at least going to get started, but that we shouldn't feel the need to have to solve all of the problems about the teacher shortage in the state and nationwide. Our goals were these. We wanted to assess goal areas and where we could grow, identify strategies, use those strategies for retention and recruitment, and then develop recommendations, both long-term and short-term, for recruitment and retention sustainability. And our timeline, we did pretty good sticking to this. We did our survey in December. In January, we started talking about our strategy. In February, it really became crystallized. We actually did create a video.
Jesus.
That was fun.
Okay.
Wow.
Good thing the kids aren't here.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. That sounded like
Something
something
blue, yeah.
blue, yeah.
Are the kids okay?
It's AED, right? Wow. All right, we'll come back online shortly.
I wonder if it was just the speakers that was like, that were,
Yeah.
just the speakers.
I think, it was probably,
Yeah. Because we had speakers.
Yeah.
We're all mic'd in and everything.
nice little jolt.
Yeah, well,
Jeez.
Power's back on, that's good. It was interesting. Dan, you okay? Take your time, get us back. I can, what's that?
That's not on the
Yeah,
clock, so.
And it looks like in the hallway though, like, so in the hallway.
Yeah.
Is this backup power maybe?
I was just thinking,
Do you see backup power in this room? The lights?
Yeah, my computer's not charging.
We don't have backup power.
I was gonna say, I don't think we have that.
We don't have it?
It's like either power or not. We do, yeah, if it's something within the building, it could be something isolated, but.
Because we are still streaming.
Are you?
Because it's,
Oh, so for anyone who can hear us out there, if we're still streaming, we had a power issue happening, so please hold. We're trying to get back online. Thank you. Oh,
All the lights are on. Section or out.
doesn't do anything.
Very well trained with that mic here, so.
Well, if we're still streaming, then we just,
streaming.
We are.
Can't see the power. I can do it on
That's
Wi-Fi.
okay, I can keep going. Because you all have it in front of you, right? And I have a paper copy, but you're not, but,
You can have it if you needed it, since I have it on the screen.
yeah, I think you're all battery powered, right? Everybody has.
and I've seen it, so.
Okay, yeah, I know, I
Cool, yeah.
reviewed at least a draft of it in the personnel committee too.
Wicked problems.
Wicked problem, wicked problem, wicked problem, this is a wicked problem, yes.
You're on the timeline.
Timeline, thank you.
I have no. Is that just-
Then we've started developing some products too, and I mentioned before, we even created a recruitment video that's available online under our human resources part of the website too, and it actually, a QR code is linked to some pamphlets that we've taken to job fairs as well. Moving on to survey administration, I mentioned that we wanted to get some baseline data by administering surveys. So we decided to administer 2 surveys. The first one was a survey sent only to new staff. We decided non-tenured teachers, which meant less than 4 years in the district, or any other employee who wouldn't be eligible for tenure, but has 4 years or less in the district. We did that because we wanted to get a variety of responses. We wanted to look at the recruitment, candidate experience, onboarding, and orientation experience from those who were newly hired to the district, but then at the same time, we wanted to provide a second survey, general survey to all district staff, regardless of when you were hired. If you've been here 40 years or 20 years, we still wanted to get your experience as well. And I would call that more like a climate culture survey of overall employee satisfaction within the district. The other thing we did is we had something called a stay interview protocol, where we had, I would say, about 8 focus questions that we provided to our task force. And we asked members of the task force to go and interview some colleagues and friends, just have a focus group or have a sit down, an individual one-on-one, and ask some questions anonymously, obviously they would know, and then write down some answers and bring that back to the committee. We were sure to make sure that a teacher sat down and did a focus group or stay interview with a teacher, a paraprofessional with a paraprofessional. In other words, we didn't want a building principal sitting down and getting a stay interview from a teacher because of the supervisory difference between a teacher and a building principal. Principals can sit with each other and have that conversation, but we wanted to make sure that we got the most genuine answers as possible. Then in our second meeting into our third meeting, we looked at trends and results. So we did some group work on chart paper. We got into groups differently, right? We had teachers mixed in with maintenance workers, mixed in with technology department and administrators. And we asked them to do a 2-column chart. What are our assets and what are our challenges based off of the surveys and the stay interview as a district? What do we see as trends? And then we asked, what other questions do you still have based off of the survey data? So, and then after we did that, we looked at the stay interviews and we asked some specific questions about the stay interviews to see if they provided us any more information that we couldn't otherwise glean from anonymous surveys, right? If we noticed a trend in the survey, did the stay interview corroborate that trend? Did the stay interview say something a little bit different? Or did we get a little bit more information from the stay interview? Like, compensation was really important, but let's see, maybe the stay interview talked a little bit more about surrounding districts that offer different levels of compensation, or something along those lines. So we identified several assets. Our district is very strong. Folks felt that they worked well with colleagues. They had great collegial relationships. There was a lot of teamwork, and there was a lot of information about having great relationships with parents, family, and students as well, that they felt that this was the kind of district that really cultivated those sort of relationships. Commute time was a big one. If we've learned anything, especially through the pandemic, when we didn't have to commute, is now those that had a commute are wanting to be a little bit closer to home, be available to pick up children from school, be near family. We're finding that this is good information too, because when it comes to hiring somebody in the district, if we know that somebody has a long commute time, certainly they would be a candidate, but it might be something that we want to think about in terms of hiring somebody who's going to drive an hour to work, because we know that commute time is something of value to those who work and live locally. A work-life balance, that the teaching or education profession allows individuals to have a balance between work and life. They can work, still be home to be with their children at night, that they have summers to be with their children and do camps and go on vacation during holiday season. I like this a lot, that our staff feel like they're engaged in meaningful work. And I think that that is a critical piece of the work that we do, right? You don't get into working with children or working into a school district unless you feel like you're giving back or you have some meaning to your kind of work. I think that it's also really interesting that that's part of the meaningful work, but I think that I interpret that as teachers feel like the way we do work here is meaningful to them, not just what they do, but how we go about educating children. And I think that was important. Of course, tenure came up as an asset. That's really job security for our teaching staff members. Some challenges, compensation came up over and over and over again. The compensation is a challenge pretty much across the board in any of the different departments in our schools. Shared decision-making, this is an interesting one. Here we are in a retention recruitment task force where everyone's coming in to give their shared opinion about employment in the district, but shared decision-making is something that's a challenge. How do we balance having committees and task force like this, where where we get the input of all stakeholders that are in the district, versus how can we better articulate times when administration, the Board of Education maybe needs to make a managerial decision, trying to balance that a little bit more. Discrepancy with paraprofessionals and secretaries, and this was in terms of professional development, sense of being part of our community. We saw that there was less opportunity for access for our paras and our secretaries to get professional training, move up within our organization, as well as ways that our paras and our secretaries should be integrated in our schools. And one example, and this is a simple thing to solve, is that for the Welcome Back Day, those of you who were there for the Welcome Back, when we were in the Hollenbrook cafeteria, where we give out awards and we celebrate our accomplishments, well, that day is optional for paraprofessionals and secretaries. Well, let's make that something that they feel invited to, not just optional, but come, you're welcome. We want to celebrate you too, right? So this came down to a couple of recommendations. 3 major themes emerged: compensation, culture and climate in the district, professional development, and growth opportunities. And under each one of these 3 themes, we developed specific objectives or action steps that we're going to carry out over the next year, or we already have, or we're going to carry out over the next year or several years. Under compensation, the first was to research compensation scales with other local schools and work toward competitive compensation. Now, when you look at the report, and I can send everybody a copy, we also take each one of these objectives and decide who's responsible. What's nice about this is I provided a copy of this recommendation, this report, to the negotiations team so that they knew, and to the RTA, so they knew when we move into negotiations, when we're talking about compensation within bargaining, this is something that came out of the retention recruitment report. So this is really just research. I mean, we can't solve all compensation issues in 1 year, but this is something that maybe we work toward. Also conducting some market research. We have several professionals in our schools that could get jobs elsewhere in industry or in the corporate world, right? Are we competitive? We are public schools, we are a public entity, but can we do some market research and decide how competitive are we among other school districts? And can we remain somewhat competitive to other industries? And investigate other types of benefits we can provide employees. We provide health benefits, but are there other things that we can do? Other long-term disability benefits? Can we provide childcare benefits? Those kinds of things within the district, to look into those. Climate and culture. First, we wanted to harness our already positive, remember we talked about PR, publicity for recruitment. We wanted to harness that in a video, which we've done, which has been really successful. It's about 7 minutes long. To continue some community building within our schools, things like that Welcome Back Day that we had back in September, celebrating our staff, which we will in a couple of board meetings in May, those who are teachers of the year, those who are retiring, honoring them. And having each individual building maybe do some of these things on a more individual basis as well. Help to maintain a work-life balance. Where can we provide a little bit of flexibility? Teaching is tough to provide work from home flexibility, right? Like that's virtually impossible. But where can we provide flexibility? Can we provide some in professional development days? Can we increase the use of our employee assistance program? Can we provide some other benefits to our employees? And where can we maintain some shared decision-making? How can we create more task force, more committees where we have a shared voice as employees of the district? And then finally, professional growth and opportunities. To investigate ways that we can have CEUs count toward movement on the salary guide. And what that means is in previous years, teachers would come to internal professional development here within the district, and they would earn a certain level of credit that if it was a specific type of course that a teacher or an administrator was offering here in district, that maybe that course could count toward graduate credit towards something, or credit on the salary guide. I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but could we offer something like that? Or some other incentive to come to after-school professional development, right? That kind of flexibility. Right now we give a flex day. Could we say, if you come to so many hours of professional development, maybe that half curriculum day before Memorial Day weekend becomes optional if you've done so many hours prior to that on your own time. To develop a pathway for paraprofessionals to achieve teacher certification. We have several paras that have bachelor's degrees. We're starting to investigate a pathway for certification with the College of New Jersey. How can we help get them certified to increase the teacher pipeline? Can we create more professional opportunities for our secretarial staff? For example, providing secretaries maybe with a bookkeeping course or something along those lines. Something that can help them maintain some of the budgetary and accounting responsibilities that they have. And review the structure of new teacher orientation or new staff orientation to provide opportunities for both professional teaching staff, but as well as opportunities for maintenance, bus drivers, secretaries, custodians to have their own individualized training with their supervisor over the course of that orientation. I listed all of the task force members, so these are all the folks that were on the committee. And you can see this is a cross-section of the district, everybody from administrators to a clerical aide, to a nurse, which was great, to the RTEA president, to paraprofessional. So we really did have a nice cross-section of staff. Next step is to employ some of these recommendations. Some we've already started, some are under investigation. But now that we've entered into the spring hiring season, the other thing that I'm doing is to collect some data. How many openings do we have? When do we post? How long does it take us to fill that opening? What's the salary range that we're starting to hire for? And we've already noticed a little bit of evidence toward this work, toward stabling the workforce in education. I feel like we have fewer retirements and resignations this year than we had this time last year going into the school year. So I think that this is moving in a positive direction. Take questions from the board.
I have a question, actually, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, for each of the times that you met, how long did you meet for?
About 2 to 2.5 hours.
Oh, okay, so that was the significant investment of time from these people that participated as part of this.
Yeah, very workshop-like. We rolled up our sleeves and we really looked into this, looked at surveys, looked at the data, mapped it out, had some tough discussions too.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. That's everything.
Thank you.
Yep.
That concludes the superintendent report. Before we open it, do we need these? Are they working?
Were you able to hear me through this?
Well,
Okay.
and the thing's not on.
We
so-
turned the blower off, so.
Okay,
All
so, okay,
So now,
okay. All right, so. All right, we're now open to the public for action items on the agenda. Is there anything online, Mrs. Cole?
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. All right, moving on to correspondence, we had an email from LS regarding a policy. Moving on to board action, the administrative reports, can I get a motion to adopt 1.01?
I move that.
Second, Carolyn. Any questions or comments? Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman,
yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Ms. Minzer,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Ms. Bogorski,
Yes.
Ms. Ryan,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello,
Yes.
Ms. Sample.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on to approval of minutes, can I get a motion to adopt 2.01 through 2.02?
Move that.
Second, Carolyn.
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Ms. Minzer,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Ms. Bogorski,
Yes.
Ms. Ryan,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello,
Yes.
Ms. Sample.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on to finance and facilities, can I get a motion to adopt 3.01 through 3.02?
So move that.
Second, Carolyn.
We did not have a committee report. Any questions or comments on the action items? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Ms. Minzer,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Ms. Bogorski,
Yes.
Ms. Ryan,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello,
Yes.
Ms. Sample.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on to education technology, can I get a motion to adopt 4.01?
So move that.
Second, Camille. And we did not have a committee report. Are there any questions or comments on the action item? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Mrs. Menzer.
Yes.
Mr. Peach.
Yes.
Mrs. Bogorski.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello.
Yes.
Ms. Hamel.
Yes.
Passes.
I'm moving on to personnel. Can I get a motion to adopt 5.01 through 5.08?
So move Beth. Second, Carolyn.
And we did have a committee report.
You did, yes. So the Personnel Committee met on March 23rd, and we discussed staffing updates for the rest of this year, the 22-23 school year, and then next year, 23-24. We discussed health benefits for the non-aligned employees, the non-tenured staff we discussed, retention and recruitment report, personnel matters, general personnel matters, and then the agenda items of restoration of increment, new hires, and the April 25th BOE meeting is for the renewal of contracts. Next meeting was set for Monday, April 17th.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the action items or the committee report? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Mrs. Menzer.
Yes.
Mr. Peach.
Yes.
Mrs. Bogorski.
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello.
Yes.
Ms. Hamel.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on to communication, can I get a motion to adopt 6.01 through 6.02?
So move Beth. Second, Carolyn.
And we did have a late committee report, right?
Yes, the committee met on Monday, March 27th. The committee discussed a cell phone policy discussion, discussed if the district should take a position on cell phone usage for students, and should the position be in the form of a policy, statement, or educational materials. The committee asked Dr. Hart to gather additional recommendations and examples for further discussion. The committee reviewed policy 2530 and regulation 2530 resource materials. Committee members discussed the current policy and if any changes are warranted. All the points of guidance are subjective in nature, and the committee discussed differing perspectives on exploring ways to add further clarifying language. In seeking a benchmark, committee members discussed that the policy is the same or similar to neighboring districts, as well as various other districts throughout the state of New Jersey. As policy 2530 references policy 9130, committee members requested that policy 9130 and 2530 be brought back to the next committee meeting agenda so the policies can be reviewed in tandem. The committee discussed discontinuation of policy 0155.01, board members participating using electronic devices. Committee members discussed that the current policy was quickly put together at the last public board meeting held in March 2020 due to the declared public health emergency. The policy does not align with the YouTube technology currently in use. A committee member expressed the recommendation to consider how to handle potential medical accommodations during non-public health emergencies, and the committee agreed to recommend abolishing the current policy and requested that Dr. Hart put the topic of board members participating using electronic devices on a future agenda to discuss potentially creating a new policy that better aligns with the tools available, potential reasonable accommodations, a future potential public state of emergency or public health emergency, and to continue the overarching expectation that board members are expected to attend public board meetings in person. The committee discussed the Readington News. The Readington News is a free newspaper delivered monthly to every resident in Readington Township. The district currently utilizes the free paper to share school district news to every citizen in town. The district has learned that the Readington Township Committee has discontinued their full-page ad in the Readington Township News in favor of a social media presence, which disrupts the paper's largest source of revenue. Further discussion was tabled due to time. Discussion on advocacy was also tabled due to time to the next meeting. Press release topics based on the communication plan for May, mental health and SEL, themed around Mental Health Awareness Month from Mr. Tumolo. And for June, green initiatives, how we celebrated Earth Day in April from the Green Committee school principals, final budget from Mr. Bohm, and Governor Educators of the Year from Mrs. Harris. Agenda items are abolished policy 0155.01, and the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 4th at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Any questions or comments on the report or the action items? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Bettman,
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore,
Yes.
Mrs. Mensah,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Mrs. Bogorski,
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf,
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan,
Yes.
Dr. Cerciolo,
Yes.
Mrs. Sample.
Yes,
Pass.
thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, we have the superintendent evaluation timeline. Were you gonna go over that, or did you want me to?
If you want to, do you have it available? I put it in the view roll, if you want to use mine.
I have the, yeah, okay. So the, how far down is it?
Let's do the end.
Yeah, it's right above the chart of committee work.
Oh, there it is, okay. Okay, so April 18th coming up, Dr. Hart will have his Google folder with all the documents in it. So for the new board members, it might be helpful to reach out to the mentors if you have any questions. And then April 25th, at our next board meeting, Dr. Hart will present the district goals to the public. We will go into executive session, and then we will go over how to do the evaluation for CUSAC guidelines, and you can ask questions with Dr. Hart. And then, so between April 25th and May 3rd, board members will be asked to work on their individual portions. That gives, that will give Camille and I about a week, a little less than a week, to prepare it, compile it for full review at the May 9th board meeting, where we will meet without Dr. Hart in executive session to come to a consensus on what the evaluation should say. And at the June 13th, we will have our final conference with Dr. Hart and the full board in executive session. So starting next meeting. Any questions?
And I'll have my Google folder available earlier than that 25th meeting, so you can peruse it, look through it, and if you have questions, you can bring that to April 20. It gives you about a week to look through everything.
I can send them the evaluation ahead of time, just if they wanted to look at it.
Yeah.
Those of us that have seen it don't want to. No offense.
I get it. I would want to do it. I don't,
No, I was going to say that I think as a new member that came on and did this the first time last year, that was really helpful for me to see the documents and to have what the evaluation will look like as sort of like a guide for when you see the volume of documents. It sort of sped things up. So because that getting everything, it's a huge amount of work by that May 3rd date. You know, if you can have more stuff front loaded, it really helps you sort of march through the process. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you. So I will send the evaluation in advance, just so you can see it. It will blank without his, right? Okay. Any other old business, unfinished business?
Just a question, are we getting that via email?
Yeah.
The folder? Okay.
yeah, I'll give you the folder via email. And then remember, because you did it last year, Jen, remember how when you go in to the school board's tool, there's like a live link maybe in there that can always re-navigate you back to the folder. It's a Google folder. Yeah, so you'll have both. Like when I'll give you my folder in advance, and I think when I submit everything, it allows me like 24 hours to call school boards and be like, oh, there was something I forgot. So I'll send you everything on the 18th, but you may not get an email from Gwen or School Boards Association until like the 20th, but you can start looking at everything through the Google folder.
Thank you.
Yep.
What was the date that you needed back from us?
May 3rd.
3rd, okay.
So we'll review it at the April 25th meeting. So it gives you about 2 weeks to do it, and then it gives Camille and I about a week to turn it around. Okay, thanks. All right, so new business, we had some green committee minutes
We did.
with a lovely new format, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So we decided to try to focus our efforts by redoing the agenda and using each pillar 1, 2, and 3 from the Green Ribbon Schools program to sort of like just group everything together so that It's so easy with sustainability and the wonderful people that we have involved in the committee to go off in 400 directions. So I thought that this really helped to sort of keep it tight. We get a lot done in a really short amount of time. The meeting's only like an hour long, and if you read through this and see all the things going on, it's really an amazing collaboration of efforts from the community, parents, and from the district. So, okay, I'll go through it. Pillar 1 is to reduce environmental impact and costs. So under that, we talked about the solar arrays. So our solar arrays have been in operation for 5 years, and our solar PPA provider, which is Amoresco, at 5 years does something called a true up. So they review all the data to determine if our 5-year electricity production guarantee was met. So when we first put them in, they give us every 5 years a production amount that we will meet, and then we have to meet or exceed that. So Don Race reviewed the details with the Green Committee, explaining that Amoresco uses a national standard, National Renewable Energy Lab, for insulation values to weather adjust the expected production. So in recent years, we've had so much rain that actually the production guarantee is much lower than what was in our contract. What is insulation? It's a measure of the solar energy available to be converted into electricity by the solar panels. All solar arrays exceeded the weather-adjusted guaranteed production amounts. So the next review will occur in another 5 years. So that means we're receiving the benefit that we thought we would be receiving in production from our solar panels. We also reviewed the solar expansion plans, just where the locations are going to be that are being explored at all 4 schools. It will allow us to generate up to 85% of the electricity used by our school facilities. Now that the Finance Committee has recommended this project move forward, engineering work is underway. And at our March 14th Board of Ed meeting, we approved the hiring of an attorney to begin working on the legal aspects of the solar expansion, which includes things such as drafting an RFP, which is a request for proposals. A subcommittee will be formed to assist with the review of these proposals when needed, and a rough timeline for the project was discussed, which of course will depend on supply chain issues. Additional capital projects that we talked about related to sustainability, including grants available for electric school buses and charging infrastructure for which the district will, submit applications. That's like a perennial thing we're always trying to do. Sustainability-based capital projects to be completed this year include LED lighting at RMS and Hollenbrook, outdoor gardens at White House School, and additional water bottle filling stations at RMS. So Pillar 2 is related to health and wellness. So how do we improve the health and wellness of our school students and staff? Mrs. Freeman discussed an opportunity to fund outdoor classrooms from something called Project Green School's Outdoor Classroom Challenge. The applications were already due March 26th, but the prize is $10,000, so that's pretty enticing. Dr. Hendrickson from the Township's Environmental Commission offered the support of local volunteers to assist with tree-based seats or benches as part of any outdoor classroom projects for the district. Mrs. Albrecht gave an update on plastic bag collections that go towards Trex benches, and the collection at RMS is finished, and next we will be collecting for a bench in the White House School Garden. We will be hosting an Earth Day celebration on April 26th at Three Bridges School. I hope you all got your invitations. Thank you, Dr. Hart. All Green Committee members were invited to attend as well. The event celebrates the many sustainability achievements of the district over the past several years. And there are many. Sustainable Jersey for Schools silver level certifications, Green Ribbon Schools designations for all 4 schools, green infrastructure installations at TBS with the bioswale and at RMS for their rain garden, National Wildlife Federation certified wildlife habitats established at Hollenbrook and RMS, and award-winning school gardens at White House, Three Bridges, and Reddington Middle Schools. The district is partnering with many people to make this happen. Some are Mascios, the Hollenbrook School Cooking Club, local vendors to provide food and refreshments for the celebration. A press release was issued to publicize the event. And then last but not least, pillar number 3 is about environmental education, which is the heart of what we do here. So what is going on with that? Three Bridges has their biosphere project complete, but Rutgers staff were coming to make an observation and check in to see if there are any issues that they can help with as far as installation. Creation of signs explaining the installation are underway, and Mr. Foster was thanked for his sign donation. Preparation of a video highlighting the installation and community partners who made the project a reality is underway as well. I think Dr. Hart told me is complete, right?
Mhm.
So I think that will be shared during the Earth Day celebration. Mrs. Freeman discussed an Eco-Rise student innovation grant open to students in grades K to 12 who complete a sustainable pathway in their curriculum. What is a sustainable pathway? It could be a water audit, waste, food, looking into sustainable transportation for the district. It's any of those things. Then the students brainstorm and pitch a solution for what they've discovered in the audits, and they can apply to Eco-Rise to assist them with expertise from their staff, but also with up to $700 in funding. So it sounded like Mrs. Freeman was going to pursue something here. Students at RMS and White House School are participating in the Empowered Schools Energy Education Program. These students at RMS are creating math problems for students in grades K to 5 using data from our solar dashboards, from our solar arrays. And the intention is to provide math challenges that can be used during Earth Week. Green Committee members were invited to attend the district's Parent Academy night, which happened last week, to be held at Hollenbrook School. And we discussed what are the sustainability issues related to that, student keynote addresses, sustainability-focused offerings on energy and climate change related to trees. Mrs. Adhikari discovered and successfully received a grant from the New Jersey Department of Education for a climate change pilot for approximately $6,000. We voted on that at our last board meeting. An internal survey was circulated for suggestions on how best to spend the funding, and ideas included butterfly gardens, Lego kits, and curriculum supplies for student environmental ed. Mr. Zwirling brought a New York Times article about food waste to the attention of the committee and has requested the members review it and bring thoughts to the next meeting. And then we had a couple new business items. Mr. Foster thanked White House School for inviting him to their science fair, and he was pleased to participate. Mrs. Albrecht shared Readington News and that they might cease publication, which is what went forward to the policy committee. And Mr. Foster highlighted our virtual backpack that we use by the school district, which makes it available to all district families without creating paper and waste. Our next Green Committee meeting will be on June 7th at 3:30 p.m. and committee members were asked to bring their ideas to the next meeting about sustainability projects and goals the Green Committee should continue to consider in its summer planning meeting. And that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Betterman.
Welcome.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the Green Committee minutes? I just had a question, which might actually be more policy, but in regards to the Readington News, do we have an alternative that we're looking into? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Say not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we discussed the potential issue because, we use the Readington News to publicize our good work and to every member of the community, right? So we have to look into alternatives.
I don't understand how the township committee can stop, I thought it had to be posted in a public forum that's received by everybody.
They probably, we post in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News. So that's where a lot of, so they were using Readington News just for informational, not for public notice.
Notices,
Yeah.
okay, and that's still in the Democrat and the.
I assume that that's where ours are. I'm just assuming that that's where theirs are. That's where I've seen public notices.
Even though those are subscription only, Ranked News is a free resource that goes to everybody.
Yeah.
It's too bad though,
Yeah.
They're definitely gonna,
Well, I was just gonna say, like, we're running under the assumption that the loss of this revenue stream will mean that they can't publish their paper, but we don't know that. We just assume that.
I believe that's
They-
what the the owners of the Readington News have said,
Okay.
because their biggest funding source was the $10,000 from the township over the year.
Okay.
So without that, it wouldn't be fiscally, financially in their best interest to continue running. So I think that's why the plea was out there if anybody wants to start running an ad. I was just curious.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
we had enough time to just kind of talk about it as a potential issue, but we didn't develop solutions yet. so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other new business?
I just have one thing. The Hunterdon County School Boards Association meeting is Thursday, April 27th. You can attend virtually or in person. It's at the Mountain View Chalet, and they're going to be celebrating the accomplishments of various board members in the county over the course of the year. So everybody's invited to attend
Thank you.
at no cost. No cost to you personally. The district pays as part of our membership in the NJSBA.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we are now open to the public. Anything on or off the agenda? Okay. And anything online, Mrs. Moore?
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay,
Oh, wait, someone had a question, Joy Costin has a question, says, have you discussed teacher resignations yet?
it
Personnel
was,
committee.
right, it was in the personnel committee minutes. And it's on the agenda. But we don't discuss it here. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, so we will now move into executive session, in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 321, to discuss RTEA negotiations for approximately 30 minutes, at which time the board expects to return to public session where action shall not be taken. The matters discussed will be made public if and when the circumstances requiring confidentiality no longer exist. However, it is not presently known when such circumstances will exist. Can I get a motion?
So move that. Second, Carolyn?
And can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Ms. Menzer.
Yes.
Mr. Beach.
Yes.
Mrs. Pogorski.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Volk.
Yes.
Dr. Sosiello.
Yes.
Ms. Ample.
Yes. It is 8:04. And if we could get a picture
Yeah.
over. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yes.